Hi everyone, welcome to the presentation of Syndicate 1 BLEMBA 26 in Strategic Decision Making and Negotiation course. So now we want to presenting to you our thoughts about the scenario planning. The scenario planning will help you to imagine multiple scenarios for the future. In this case, we're going to talk about the scenario planning of ride-hailing industry. Before that, let me introduce you to our team here. This is me, Fian, and next to me are my friends Chitra, this is Brenandi, Ajus Fianur, and the next one is Adam, this is Sonia, and Rizwan. Okay, let's the presentation begin. Here is the outline of the presentation. Number 1. The scenario planning begins by identifying the local issues or decisions. Once the focal issues has been determined, we continue to number 2 about the exploration. We make a long list of driving forces and critical uncertainties that could affect the focal issues. After that, we look at the scenario based on the driving forces. Four scenario logics are then generated from the labels on the ends of the two axes. Next, we go to step 4 about the consequences and option. In the stage, we go deeper with the implication and option for the scenarios. And the last one will explain more about the early warning signal of each scenario that will help the industries to stay ahead of trends. In stage 1, orientation. This is our key focal issues. We want to know what does the future hold for ride-hailing industry in 2025, especially because of pandemic. The uncertainties of the industry is growing bigger. The stage 2 will continue with my friend Sonia.
Now we are gonna talk about the second stage, exploration. This stage is involving the extensive research, not only to identify, but also to deepen the understanding of the driving forces and critical uncertainties surrounding the focal issue. We define the driving forces based on 3 levels that are going to be the big shift in ride-hailing industry itself, in society, economics, technology, and politics. Those levels are the user, transactional environment, and the last one is contextual environment. After we identified and made a list of driving forces, then we can rank them based on how much the impact on the ride-hailing industry. And then we can pick up only 2 most important uncertainties. As you can see on the slide, those 2 things are pandemic longevity and economic situation. We put the famous song title that played by Taylor Swift on each quadrant. Do you want to know why? Because her songs can represent them, and why not?
For this scenario creation that we took from Taylor Swift's song, we divide into 4 scenarios. The x-axis refers to pandemic longevity, from the long-term pandemic on the left-hand side to the short-term pandemic on the right-hand side. And for the y-axis reflect the economic situation, that the good economic situation is on top axis and the bad economic scenario is on the bottom axis. The first on top left quadrant is what we call you need to calm down. In here, we create the situation of economic is on the good condition while pandemic lasts for long term. People are trying to accomplish their business and needs from home, and due to pandemic, people are afraid of using public transportation. The company is also forced to adapt with dynamic business model in order to gain market again. Then we move to the bottom left quadrant, that what we call I know your trouble. This scenario reflecting a long-term pandemic with bad economic situation. Several characteristics are low customer purchasing power, economic mobility remain low, and enhanced to new business model. And then we move to right to we are never getting back together quadrant. This scenario draws a short-term time of pandemic situation, but the economic is on the bad condition. Business and customer activities start to recover, but not as expected. People start using public transportation that indicate economy start to rebound. Customers' purchasing power still low but gradually increase. And for the last quadrant on the top right is the very prosperous situation that what we call shake it off. We could see the economic condition is very attractive with pandemic only on short situation. Business and customer activities are steadily recovered. People already going back on public transportation and business model of the company is on solid mode.
Hi, this is Ispian. On stage 4, me and Mbak Citra will show what is the implication when all those scenarios will happen in the future and what option that need to be considered by the ride-hailing business for their strategic plan. I will talk the part when the economic situation is good, and Mbak Citra will talk the part when the economic situation is bad. On the top left side, considering the pandemic is still impacting the society and the business, various implications might be indicated when people still have fear to use public transport, and the business need to do something with their business model and products. Implication that purchasing power is stagnant, the demand on safety and comfortness increase, and the demand for derivative products increases in order to stay in business. Several options that businesses need to consider on their strategic planning, such as expanding the ecosystem with more derivative products, developing new ways to deliver new service using the technology, modification and innovation, and lowering the price in order to manage the demand. On the top right side, when the pandemic no longer exists, various implications may indicate customer demand significantly increase, and the demand of derivative products may no longer be urgent, but the previous innovation initiative can be accelerated. Businesses have several options to boost their business by doing kind of expansion, maximizing the execution on delay initiatives, and using the AI technology. And businesses have the opportunity to hire more talented professionals to grow their business even further. Okay, what when the economic situation is bad? Mbak Citra will talk about it.
Thank you, Pak Yus, for the introductions and the explanation. In the scenario we are never ever getting back together, the consequences include the depress of corporate purchasing power, although it may start to rebound. This situation will also contribute to the rise of the demand. At this stage, the top management needs to grab the momentum for positive outcome and company sustainability. Options for this scenario consist of the employees' benefit reductions for the purpose of saving the company's cash flow. In addition, the ride-hailing company may increase the capacity of its partner or drivers as a way to keep the revenue up. Meanwhile, in I Knew You Were Trouble scenario, as explained in the left below matrix, the implications comprise of the weakening of the purchasing power, economic activities are falling off, and the company's earnings is shrinking. These conditions happen caused by the fear of virus infections and afraid of strangers. On the contrary, demand of derivative products and services will elevate. Under this scenario, options that can be taken cover the company's efficiency, reduce the overhead costs, and if the economy is plunged deeply, the companies need to lay off its employees. Aside from that, in order to enable the company to survive, the ride-hailing company shall consider a new strategy or innovations or establish a derivative products or services.
we are going into the last stage of scenario planning, which is integration. Integration can be defined as an early warning signals when a scenario is going to happen. Our first scenario, where the economic is grow and the pandemic is over, we call as shake it off. This can be indicated by several circumstances. First indication is increasing number of investors and entrepreneurs attracted to jump into this industry. This circumstance will encourage the mobility behavior shifts to public transportation. Then it will be followed by increasing demand of ride-hailing order. Another scenario is when the economic is doing well, yet the pandemic is still on the outbreak. We call as you need to calm down scenario. This condition can be indicated by positive attraction from the investors and the entrepreneurs. But since the pandemic is still being around us, people tend to use their private vehicle. As a consequence, the demand of public transportation as well as ride-hailing order will decrease.
In this pandemic situation, there is also example case for bad economic situation that can derive several major characteristics. For the long run, we would like to rephrase this integration as I knew you were trouble. Due to several issues here, like in the first, several players start to lay off their employees. They need to cut loose their workers by giving them benefit and also compensation fee. Second, small medium enterprises or even large firms need to restructure their business scheme. Of course, this case is really tough for them. Third, due to the high awareness of this pandemic, the ride-hailing industry seems to increase of partner or driver application in terms of healthiness and stabilization of the fleet. Fourth, difficulties in searching investors. Yes, because during the situation, there's so many investors that take out the leverage, share, or we might say as devastation. And the last, for the long term, high crime, and this is unavoidable. Everybody needs money for living. And then, for the short run, we would like to rephrase this integration as we are never ever getting back together. Why? Yes, because the massive number of wholesalers and retailers tend to be down. Second, low technology adoption due to the high number of operational costs using advanced tech. Third, of course, the high crime also, like in the long term. And the last, for the short run, is given the backdrop of global economic recession. So this is the end of our discussion regarding online ride-hailing industry in the next 5 years. We are happy and enjoying discuss with you, and please don't forget to like and subscribe our YouTube channel. We really appreciate that. Thank you.